Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to English Funda. I'm Vinod Shankaran. This is the critical mind third part where we will learn summary. That is, what is a summary question? How are we supposed to attempt these questions and what exactly does a summary require? Plus, we'll see what assumptions are and we'll do some questions. And once you have done these concepts, I request you to download the app and the link is given in the description box and then do all the questions before watching the next session. Okay, so let's start. The first one is writing the summary. But if you recall, in the previous session, we learned what an assertion is, what a statement is, or let me put it this way. We started with what an argument is. Arguments are made of statements, of which one is called the premise and one is called the conclusion. We learned the nature of statements. We learned the nature of statements. We learned how to differentiate the statement from a question, a command, and what a hypothetical statement is. All those things we learned then. Okay, and we did central idea and primary purpose in the next session. And now in this session, we will learn how to write the summary of a passage. Plus, we will also learn how to go about identifying the assumption. What is an assumption? Now, what is a summary? Read this here. It says a summary is written. A summary is written with the premise and the conclusion without losing the tone or the structure. Now, what does it mean? When I ask you to write the summary of a passage given to you, I look forward to your writing the premise and the conclusion and not losing the structure. That is, if the structure is something like this, if it's a cause effect relationship, don't change it to a, say, hypothetical relationship, or you don't change it to something else. You keep the cause effect relationship intact in the summary too. Okay. Second is the tone. Tones are nothing but the emotions expressed by the author when he states his primary purpose. That is, whenever the author makes his point, he also, as a human being, he attaches his emotions to that particular conclusion. The emotions are called tones of the author. Now, you do not lose the tone of the author and you do not lose the structure of the passage, and you also keep the premise and the conclusion together. That is the best summary. Keep this in mind. I'll teach you how to eliminate options from, say, 4 or 5 options that we get in exams. That's a different ball story. But before that, what is exactly sought by a summary is what you have to keep in mind. Okay, so what is exactly sought by a summary? It wants the premise and the conclusion with the same structure and the tone as used by the author in the passage. Okay, so while choosing the summary, we need to be careful. So what is a summary? Summary is nothing but the premise and the conclusion. That is the entire passage without the frills. The entire passage without the frills, but the core elements intact. Okay, so let's come to the how to choose the correct summary. First of all, ensure that the option has the premise and the conclusion. That's important. Then you do not draw any inferences or state assumptions. We do not write anything that is implied in the summary, because the passage implies something, the summary will also imply the same thing. It will not bring it to the fore. That is, if there is an assumption in the passage and you are writing the summary, you keep the assumption as it is. You do not write the assumption. In the same way, if something can be inferred from the passage, do not write the inference. Let the summary point in that direction. That is, let the summary imply the inference. Okay, so now keep the tone of the passage in mind while selecting the answer. This we have already discussed, and keep the organization of the passage in mind. Okay, now we come to doing some questions. Let me show you some questions and see whether you are able to do them. Okay, the first one is there is a passage here, there is a passage here, and there are summary options. Now I want you to read this passage and without losing the structure and the tone and the premise and the conclusion, you choose the correct option. I give you 2 minutes to do this. I give you 2 minutes to do this. Okay, let the timer start. Finish it, and then I'll tell you the answer. The correct answer for this is, if you had guessed, then first one is the correct answer, sir. Absolutely. Because you will see option number 2, 3, and 4 have some elements missing. Option 1 is the only option which has all the elements. Budget airlines have fueled India's tourism boom. Well, that one. Plus, how, especially to Southeast Asia, and in that also Vietnam becoming popular, and every element that was mentioned in the passage is mentioned here also. So read this. India's tourism surge driven by budget airlines and Bollywood influence. And you see India's tourism. We are not talking about tourism in general. Those are the kind of mistakes that we start committing. We do not focus on what the passage is saying. We try to generalize. We try to do things that are not there in the passage. A summary is a simpler version of what the author has said. What you have understood. I am not asking you that. I'm not asking you what you understood from the passage. I'm simply asking you, did you understand what the author has said? So express it, the author's words themselves, but write a short words version. Okay, so now what would happen to the second one, sir? India's booming tourism industry, driven by increased connectivity and popular culture connectivity. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, then has caused a notable rise in Indian visitors to both nearby and long haul destinations, with Southeast Asia and Switzerland being particularly favored. Where is that Bollywood touch? That's an integral part of the argument. And there is a generalization. It says long haul destinations. That is, do we go to all kinds of destinations? No, long haul destinations are particularly those which have been depicted in Bollywood. So keep those narrow definitions given in the passage narrow. If it is broad, you keep it broad. Okay. The third one, Indian tourism is increasingly drawn to Southeast Asia, largely driven by budget travel options. Budget travel options will, despite Bollywood's influence on destination choices, Western European countries like Switzerland and Spain are seeing little to no increase in Indian visitors. Now, this is the opposite of what the passage actually says. Okay, Switzerland is also favored, is what the passage says. Okay, and here we say little or no increase. Okay, what about the fourth one? The fourth one is, it doesn't say that it is primarily focused on Southeast Asia, and sometimes we also go to Europe. That part is missing. Here we have put Southeast Asia and Switzerland in the same basket and discussing. That is the problem. Okay, so this is the kind of focus you require. You need to understand what the passage is talking about clearly. Try the next question. Again, I'll give you 2 minutes. So, which one is the correct answer? The correct answer is third. Read it. The youth of Haryana increasingly opt for illegal migration or the donkey route to develop the nations due to persistent unemployment, political favoritism in public sector jobs, and declining quality of life in the state, highlighting deeper socio-economic inequalities. All the points that are there in the passage also figure in here. Nepotism is there, declining quality of they want a better life. Okay, so that part is there, and there are social economic inequities that is also there. So third is the correct option. What will happen to the first one? You tell me in the comment box what is missing in one. Why didn't we choose one? Why didn't we choose two? And why didn't we choose fourth? Okay, you write them in the description box. I'm not spoon feeding you all the answers. You know that. I've given you the answers. You tell me why, if at all you got the answer right. And now that I've told you the answer, you tell me why 1, 2, and 4 are incorrect options. What is missing there? That is mentioned in the passage and it is not mentioned in the summary. The third question, again, I give you 2 minutes. The correct answer is 2 here. The convergence of finance, technology, and politics in the age of populism has turned voters into divided entities focused solely on personal needs, while political parties use corporate strategies to polarize and manipulate elections. Very correctly said. Why are 1, 3, and 4 wrong? You write it in the description box. Okay. And if you are downloading the app, then you can also get in touch with me through the app chat box. Okay, the link is given in the description box for the app. The app should be used for answering questions because now you know summary. If you want to do some questions, attempt some questions on summary, please download the app. And okay, question number 4 again. Again, we have to write a summary. Okay, I give you 2 minutes. Try this and then you tell me which one is correct. The correct answer is fourth. Okay, see, India's inflation exceeded the Reserve Bank's limit in August 2023, driven by food price hikes. The government's intervention through export bans and duties has led to concerns about adverse effects on farmers' income, urging a shift toward a more balanced and rational trade policy. These are the points that are there in the passage also. What is missing in 1, 2, and 3? Again, use the comment box to tell me, or download the app and tell me that. Okay. Question number 5. Again, 2 minutes. What is the answer to this? Okay. It is the second one. Gram Sabhas, as defined by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment, are misunderstood as mere village meetings. In Gadchiroli's district scheduled areas, however, Gram Sabhas are proving their potential as corporate bodies capable of advancing participatory democracy, natural resource management, and livelihood. Okay, why are 1, 3, and 4 wrong? Okay, take your time, write them. I'll respond. Okay, don't worry. Whether you write it in the YouTube comment box or elsewhere, I'll tell you what is wrong and what is right there. Okay, now let's come to the next focus area of this session. That is, we will understand what assumptions are. What assumptions are. Now we are going to talk about a message or a premise that the author has not mentioned in the passage, but it is easy to understand why he is not mentioning that particular. He has given one premise, he has given, maybe say, he has given 3 premises to reach a conclusion. But the conclusion can be reached on the strength of 4 premises, of which he has given 3. One he has purposefully not written because he believes this is very easily taken for granted. My readers can very easily understand what I try to mean, so I don't have to waste my breath and write a sentence. Okay, so he says, I'll write 3 premises. I'll not write the 4th premise. My readers will be able to understand what the 4th premise is and the conclusion is given. So, a premise which is not mentioned by the author, thinking that the reader will be able to understand on his own, I don't have to waste my words, is called the assumption. The assumption is nothing but a hidden premise. It's a hidden premise. So look at this. Argument is made of the premise and the conclusion. Well, now some premises are given and some premises are indirect. They are only to be understood. Okay, so any understood, any hidden premise is called the assumption. And the questions come as such. They say, what is the assumption in the passage? What is the assumption in the passage? So what all will be given? So some premises will be given. Suppose I want to drive an argument by writing three premises. Okay, it was supposed to be like this: P1, premise number 1, premise number 2, and premise number 3. All the three should give me the conclusion. But what I've done is I've given you premise number 1, I've given you premise number 3, I have not given you premise number 2, in the belief that with P1, P3 and the conclusion you'll be able to understand what the P2 premise must be. That is the assumption. So any premise that is not mentioned in the passage but which can be understood from the passage is called the assumption. So let's see. What are the characteristics of an assumption? It is unstated. First thing is it is unstated. It is implied. Now I'm going to use another word. I say implied. Implied means hidden. Implied means hidden. There is enough data to point in a direction, but that data, the whatever can be actually written as the premise, is not written. It should have been written, but there is only an indication. So it is unstated. Assumptions are not explicitly mentioned in the argument. They are implied or inferred. Now, what is the difference between implication and inference? We'll talk about that later. But both of them simply mean hidden. Now, taken for granted. Now, this is another characteristic of an assumption. That is, why doesn't the author write it, sir? Suppose, let us take an example now and understand. Suppose when you're walking out of the house, your mom says, take an umbrella. Your mom says, take an umbrella. Now, that is the action she wants you to take. But there must be something that made her declare or give you this command. What is that made her give you the command? There must be a reason. So you would say, either it is very sunny, sir, or it is raining. Usually, when it rains, we take the umbrella. So probably it is raining. Probably it is raining. A very strong reason is that it is raining. But your mother took it for granted that you will understand that it is raining. So that is an assumption. That is, it is raining. When your mom says, take an umbrella when you're going out of the house, the assumption that your mom has made is that my son will know that it is raining. It is taken for granted. Get my point? She does not have to use her words. So an assumption is always a reason for the conclusion, but it is unstated. Then it supports the argument. Of course it should. Okay. A premise which is related to the given premises and the conclusion is the correct assumption. I cannot have a reason that will not help me reach the conclusion. I cannot have any reason for your mother asking me to take the umbrella, of your mother asking you to take the umbrella, and the reason is unrelated to taking the umbrella. Cannot be like that. Okay. So it will support the argument. Now, it is subject to challenge. Now, again, sir, suppose the assumption is that it is going to rain. But somebody could very easily say, sir, it could also be sunny. Well, it could also be just for the sake that he is hurt, the son is hurt, and he cannot walk. So, in the absence of there not being a stick at home, the mother is asking you to take the umbrella as a support. Possible, but it is open to challenge. But which one is the best possible assumption, sir? It is raining, because I'll tell you how to analyze the data that we have in the argument to reach the correct assumption. That will come later. I'll teach you those concepts. But first of all, understand what an assumption is. An assumption is a reason that is connected to the argument, which is unstated, which can help me reach the conclusion. Well, so these are the 4 characteristics of an assumption. Now, let me show you some examples of assumptions. There is an argument here. Okay, there is a premise and the conclusion, and you see how it works. One premise is given here. All students who study hard get good grades. Well, all students who study hard get good grades. Well, the conclusion reached is directly from here I have reached a conclusion. I have not given one more premise that is necessary to link the given premise to the conclusion. What I'm saying is, sir, there should have been one more reason before you come to the conclusion. Therefore, John will get good grades. You said all students who study hard get good grades, and you started using a name. You said, therefore, John will get good grades. But The problem is you did not tell me whether John is a student who studies hard. But that is hidden here. When you consider this premise and the conclusion, you see that this must also be a reason. Only then I can reach this conclusion without much doubt. That is, all students who study hard get good grades, and John must be a student who also studies hard. Only then the conclusion will stand that John will get good grades. Do you get my point? Do you get my point? Now, the premise and the conclusion are connected. Okay, don't consider them as separate statements. The premise leads to the conclusion. So this is another premise that could have been written, but the author did not choose to write it. I could have actually written all the three sentences. I could have written premise number one, all students who study hard get good grades. Second premise, John is a student who studies hard. And then conclusion, therefore, John will get good marks. I could have written that, but I chose not to write it. So the assumption here, the hidden premise becomes the assumption. The same thing for argument number two. Okay, check now. Higher taxes mean less money with people. Well, higher taxes mean less money with people. Well, okay, now lowering taxes will boost the economy. Lowering taxes will boost the economy. So what is it going to do? How will it boost the economy? So what it actually says is, if you consider the relationship between the two, the given premise and the conclusion, you will see that this also should have been mentioned, but it is not mentioned. But this must be true for the conclusion to be true. Lower taxes lead to more spending. Of course, lower taxes, because the first statement says high taxes mean less money with people. So when you lower the taxes, people are going to have more money in their hand. Now, with that, they'll start buying. So the economy gets a boost. The supply and demand goes up. Okay, and the economy gets a boost. Get my point? Okay, so hidden premise, a hidden reason is the assumption. Let's try some more questions here, some more arguments here. It says, premise, good health is desired by all. Well, that is one of the premises. And the conclusion is, exercising daily leads to better health. Now, good health is desired by all, and exercising daily leads to better health. Now, what should be the connecting sentence that I can draw a conclusion like this? It is this: at least some people take up exercising for good health. Good health is desired by all. Well, at least, and that is not the only way. It says good health is desired by all. What are the constituents of good health is not given in that first statement. In the conclusion, it talks about exercising daily leads to better health. So what does it mean? That exercising is one of the ways to achieve good health. And if everybody loves good health, then there must be some who must always believe, if the conclusion is true, then this must also be true, that at least some people take up exercising for good health. Get my point? Try the next one. Again, look at this. Premise, people have moral obligations. People have moral obligations. The first premise. Conclusion is, people should donate to charity. Again, more obligations are nothing but duties. Okay, so you have moral duties. Well, and then the conclusion is, people should donate to charity, which means charity is a form of moral obligation. Donating to charity must be one of the social obligations. Get my point? So any reason that can lead us to the conclusion with the given premise, that is, it is like this. Suppose there is P1, okay, and P2 is not given. P2 is not given. So P1 plus P2 will give me the conclusion. Okay. And you know, an argument can be driven with multiple premises. Premise number 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is an assumption 5, and then the conclusion. Okay. Some more. One more argument, you see. Climate change is affecting vegetable production. Well, climate change is affecting vegetable production. For the good or for the bad, we do not know. Let's read the conclusion. Vegetable prices are shooting up. Vegetable prices are shooting up. So what is the connection? Climate change is affecting vegetable production and vegetable prices are shooting up. So what is climate change doing? It is leading to a short supply of vegetables. Only then the prices will go up. Okay. So climate change has negatively affected the supply of vegetables. The supply has been affected negatively. You might say, sir, that negatively is given here. No, It simply says climate change is affecting vegetable production. Are some vegetables growing more than the others? We do not know. So, is it affecting positively or negatively? We do not know. But the conclusion gives us that clue. It says vegetable prices are shooting up, which means climate change must be negatively affecting supply. Beware of these nuances. And when I come to the next class, I'll tell you how to choose from the options. What are the elimination tricks we have? Okay, come to the next one. It says premise is controlled nuclear fusion offers inexhaustible supply of clean energy. Controlled nuclear fusion can give you inexhaustible supply of clean energy. Okay, there will be no uh, fossil fuel uh, fossil fuel, say, pollution. Well, very good. And the conclusion is countries do not fund nuclear fusion research. Now, come on. Here you have mentioned that it offers an inexhaustible supply of clean energy. Well, and countries you say do not fund nuclear fusion research. Why is that so? So there must be a reason which is not mentioned here. So what is the reason? The reason is controlled nuclear fusion research must be costly. Otherwise, there is a benefit to be had. Now, it also follows from these two sentences that the benefits are lower than the costs. The benefits are lower than the costs, at least at the present. That is why countries are not supporting nuclear research or nuclear fusion research. Okay, so slowly we have come to understand what assumptions are. Assumptions must lead us to the conclusion with the given premises. Okay, now try the questions now given in the app. In English Funda app, you have the questions on assumptions and the explanations. Okay, and you also have, if you want to buy a course, you can also buy courses there. But these are free. These questions are free. And whenever you have a doubt there, you can address your doubts there in the app itself, or you can come back to the English Funda channel, subscribe, like, and share, and then you can also ask your doubts. All the best. Catch you in the next session.